This episode of Casual Friday is brought to you by Netflix.
Pants, who cares? They all look the same anyway.
It's jeans.
Yeah.
And they say, just get me the same pair of jeans. It's just like, it's so... So, all right. Game of the year. We did it. We got them out.
Yes. Well, yours isn't. It'll be out by the time this video comes out, but I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what your picks are.
It's a...
Really?
No.
Really?
I mean, I know what some of them are. I don't know, like, what
Yeah,
order.
no, I'm not. I mean, it's not state
Last I
secret.
talked to you about it, you were still in the process of playing some of the games, so.
Yeah, no, it came out kind of how I thought. I mean, look, I did the thing where I said Gone Home was my favorite. Fucking hipster.
Really?
Yeah. I know.
Speaking of, yeah.
You know, I think you're right. Am I going to be called a hipster?
Oh, yes. By the time this Casual Friday goes up, there is a hipster cloak that has been covering Adam Sessler.
You're the one wearing
One of
plaid.
my favorite games, one of yours, Brothers, when I was just, I was just so blown away by that game. Mm-hmm. And, I went to Twitter to just express my admiration for it because, Microsoft did a bang-up job making sure no one knew it was out there.
Yeah.
And people were accusing me. Like, I was chatting with Gary Whitta, who also really enjoyed the game, and they're like, you better not make that your game of the year. You need to pick a real game, you hipster. And it's like, right now, if someone calls me a hipster, I mean,
It's a compliment.
I get 10 years back.
It's literally just a catch-all term now to describe someone who disagrees.
Yeah, I mean,
with you.
apparently now not liking anything that's mainstream. But anyway, I think the thing is, hipster or not, the cool part about Gone Home that really got me was the story is the design, and the design is the story in ways that are very hard to accomplish in games. It's not even just, it doesn't stop down and it does the Half-Life thing, but the way in which that house had to be constructed for you to kind of traverse it, to put everything together.
Yeah.
That really is a phenomenal feat.
Yeah, it was meticulously laid out. And I said in my Game of the Year video, I was talking about Gone Home and how, there are like habits we form as gamers that we don't even realize. Like, I mean, hopefully I'm not spoiling anything, but parts of that game are really scary. And you feel like you should be scared, even though the game hasn't actually given you a reason to be scared.
Yeah.
Like dark hallways, boom. That's automatically terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also that sense that you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the greatest trick it played is, even though the character you are playing is familiar with the family, they're not familiar with the house. And so you have this parity between player and character. But it reminds me of the movies of Michael Haneke, who recently did Amour and did Funny Games, where so many of his movies, you as the viewer feel you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And just that kind of lingering feeling. And that's where I think so much of the fear came from.
Yeah, it's
If
just
someone comes
anxiety.
through that door, and I did scream while playing it, not because of something that happened in the game, but there was a gust of air that slammed the door in my apartment.
Oh, God.
I'm so glad I was home alone because that was not a masculine sound that came out of my mouth.
I'm imagining like a banshee shriek or something.
It was really, really bad.
It's a shame your playthrough wasn't on like Twitch at the time.
Yeah.
No, I'm really glad that didn't happen. What was your game of the year?
My game of the year was BioShock Infinite, which apparently some people are mad about.
Hipster.
I don't. Shut your mouth, Zach. I don't want to hear it. You sound like the internet.
Tara, I have to concur. I mean, that game is on my list. Because I said Gone Home was the best, and then I alphabetized everything else because I'm just not in the mood to rank things because games are great.
I feel like almost everybody loved BioShock Infinite when it came out, and now that it's been like 9 months or something, is it like cool to start hating it again or something?
It took a week for it to be cool to start, or less than that. It took like,
I understand there were like legitimate discussions about ludonarrative dissonance and all this shit, but like, even with that, you can't argue that it's a really well-made game.
It is really one of the most remarkable acts of pop entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, just the imagination of Columbia.
Yeah.
And that sense of discovery of that world never got boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
I feel like the kind of people who are saying that they hate that are people who maybe play 3 games regularly, which is probably something like Dark Souls and like hardcore games, and anything else they just completely dismiss.
But I mean,
Dark Souls.
It's no, Dark Souls is a fine game. No, BioShock Infinite. Also, I will never forget the experience of playing that game.
Yeah, like you and I both played it. We crammed through it the weekend before it came out for the review. And that being able to play that in a vacuum before any of the reviews, except for IGN, were out, was kind of a magical experience.
Yeah.
Like coming across that ending when you had no idea what was going to happen was crazy.
And it's like nobody else has played it, so you want to talk to somebody else about it, but you can't.
Yeah, it was, but the way, as tough as some of the subject matter was, the way in which that game played out, it's like when you heard that, it was like a cool glass of water. It's that once I started playing, I had, it was just like when fatigue caught up with me. I'm like, okay, I gotta go to bed because I'm not appreciating this. Up the next morning, just kept on going. So yeah, I crammed it, but I think even if I wasn't reviewing it, I would have played it. It just, it doesn't want to let you go.
Exactly.
I loved it.
I feel like there were a couple sequences where I wanted to put it down. Like there were some backtrack sections and some parts in the middle when you're around, was it Chen's like gun shop, that felt like, okay, I feel like I'm kind of going through the motions here. Like it seems like they tried to fill this section out. But for the most part, I agree with you. Like I strapped into that roller coaster and I wanted to keep on going.
Yeah.
Although I mentioned this, I wonder what you think about this. I feel like there is too many critical story elements that are told through hidden audio diaries. Like I think that they came up with this story and they decided, okay, here's our mainline story, here's everything else that's optional. And I think they put too much stuff in the optional. Like, I mean, even spoiled games that we shot a week later, there were things that were like, well, I don't know, this is better left unexplained, but it's explained in some hidden audio diary.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm glad I didn't find all the audio diaries because I like some of the ambiguity.
Yeah.
That's in it because that's what made it so kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that was also something that happened in the original BioShock as well. I mean, it's not my favorite storytelling device because
Well, Gone Home is your game of the year.
no, but I know. But I mean, it's like I said, I really like BioShock Infinite, and I'm gonna say it. I really like the combat.
I really like it too. That's what I'm saying. Like people who are hating on it, like they haven't played that much stuff. If they really think that is bad, like get some perspective.
I played Aliens Colonial Marines this year. I played God of War Ascension and Gears of War Unfriendliness. What was it called?
Gears of War Judgment Day?
Judgment.
Or Judgment?
Judgment. Judge of War.
Judges Week.
Okay, and what was your game of the year?
The Last of Us.
Last of Us, yeah.
Which is the true and supreme master of the Game of the Year award.
So there are a lot of comments on my Game of the Year video because I didn't include The Last of Us.
Right.
Even though I specifically stated there are tons of great games that aren't on this list, this is just what spoke to me. But I played The Last of Us. I felt like it suffered from that thing where it's like, it's really slow in the first few hours of the game. And that made me sort of get bored with it. And because I wasn't playing it for a review, I didn't feel compelled.
You're playing it for pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing it for Game of the Year consideration because I hadn't played it when it came out, and I was like, this is good. I don't feel compelled to finish it.
Now, the one thing is when we chatted about this, because I did the review on that one, and not because I got bored, because I actually was quite compelled by it, but the grimness, which I think is even more present at the beginning than even at the end, or at least as you're adjusting to just how heavy this world is, I think I would have stepped away from that game far more frequently, had I not had the time pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. There were points in that game that I wanted to stop playing, and I knew that this is a long game and I need to finish it this weekend. That forced me to keep on going. But so, were you dying a lot in the beginning?
No, I didn't die a lot. I didn't die. I don't think I died once.
Because I find the intro sequence I think is brilliant and just grabs me, and like that made me want to keep playing and exploring, learning what this character was like after this terrible event. And the world itself was so unfamiliar, even though it was post-apocalyptic, and we've seen a lot of games that year or this year in that genre. That it forced me to want to keep exploring that world. And I mean, once you meet Ellie and you kind of leave. Is it Boston that you start out in? Boston, yeah. Then I think the game really takes off. I agree that like up to that point, before you get to Billstown, things are a little bit slow.
Yeah.
It tutorializes a lot of combat. But man, after that, I think there was no better written game this year, no better performed game this year. I think it's a masterpiece.
I think, especially on the writing on this one, it was fairly early on when I realized, oh, okay, Joel's not a good guy.
Exactly.
And the beginning sets it up where you immediately have sympathies for him.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter's dead. Yeah. But then I'm like, hold on, this is kind of, it reminded me a little bit of the Vic Mackey character on The Shield, where he's almost exploiting his own tragedy to indulge some rather unsavory aspects of his person, which is, I increasingly found him a sociopath that seemed to be further and further detached from what he ostensibly was claiming, what he was supposed to be doing, which was saving the world or saving the girl.
Yeah,
And
maybe that's what initially threw me off, because I was expecting him to be a good guy,
Yeah.
and I started playing and I realized that he really wasn't.
well,
And I was
then-
like, well, who is the good character, you know?
I mean, it's Ellie for the most part.
Yeah, but
albeit
I mean-
A major theme of that game is that humanity is terrible.
Yeah.
Right?
But the scene with who's the girlfriend in the beginning?
Tess.
Yes, Tess, when she just cold-bloodedly just shoots the guy. That was the like, oh, this game's going places I wasn't expecting it to. And it's almost, I almost wonder if that was Naughty Dog saying like, okay, we've warned you.
Yeah.
This is not going to be. I mean, it's
time.
rough going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I still don't believe that was Troy Baker. I mean,
Oh my God, yeah, his voice is so deep.
Yeah. And Booker DeWitt.
And
the Joker.
And they shared an art director, right?
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
They both had kind of the younger female companion. Mm-hmm. They were basically the same game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
Except-
obviously one is better than the other.
Yes,
We
Bioshock
can both agree
Infinite.
on that, right, Adam?
Of course.
I mean, you have to decide.
Well,
We're not deciding Gone Home as the game of the game of the year.
Well, I mean, but they're both on my list, and I didn't do the ranking. They're both really good games. Well,
But
I guess I'd have to say, yeah.